But returning to our main news for you today and the situation in Syria, joining us once again, Middle East analyst Nabila Ramdani. And Nabila, I mean, obviously huge concern over what is going on, the fact that international pressure is growing and yet very little is actually happening. We did see a small number of evacuations from Homs by the Red Cross yesterday. How significant is it that at least that tiny window of opportunity was opened for them?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm afraid it will only be a respite in the ongoing slaughter, but perhaps the positive aspect to it is that it might signal that it could happen again on a more spontaneous basis. But there is no doubt that, of course, the focus is very much on the city of Homs, but other areas in the country are equally subjected to constant heavy bombardments, and the humanitarian situation is absolutely harrowing. There's a real sense of emergency, but again, I'm afraid this sense of emergency has really started with the crackdown more than 11 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, what did we see coming out of Tunis yesterday? I mean, a lot of anger, talk of more sanctions, but is it actually going to lead to any significant change in the approach of the international community?
Well, a very stern message has been sent to President Assad. We've heard harsh words from the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, effectively saying that the Assad regime will have more blood on its hands if it fails to implement an immediate ceasefire. We've heard equally harsh words from the UK Foreign Secretary William Hague, calling the Assad regime a criminal regime. But the conference also highlighted divisions between the approach adopted by Western governments, who are still very much pushing for a diplomatic solution and further economic sanctions, and Arab countries, mainly the voices of Saudi Arabia and Qatar, who think that it's an excellent idea to arm the Free Syrian Army and are pushing for a peacekeeping force.
What is the problem with that, though? We saw, certainly in Libya, the opposition there was armed to an extent. It is an option available to the international community. Is there a sense that the opposition in Syria simply isn't unified enough at this stage?
Well, very much so, and that's precisely what the Friends of Syria conference tried to achieve, to bring together what is at the moment a very fractured opposition and put together a united voice of opposition that could offer a credible alternative to the al-Assad regime. As far as arming the Free Syrian Army, again, there are divisions even within the Arab League over that. There are, of course, fears of an escalation of what is already a civil war in certain areas. And one thing that I think Arab countries are underestimating, perhaps, is the strength of the Syrian army. It's a very well equipped, highly trained and disciplined army with an annual budget of $2 billion. Al-Assad can muster more than 500,000 men between service personnel, active service personnel and conscripts. It's a very efficient army which has great experience in fighting regional wars, and it represents 8 times the size of the army that Colonel Gaddafi had. So one shouldn't underestimate the regional ramifications of all that.
No, indeed. Nabila, good to get your views this morning. Thank you.